Hey, what is going on, guys? I've got an early sample here of the new SNAA kit, the Furious Warhammer Galahad. It looks awesome. This is quite a thick box here, as you can see. Love the design of this one. It was actually just revealed not all that long ago. The sample is here, and then the kit should be arriving here at USA Gundam Store pretty soon. So if you guys have not pre-ordered it yet, you can still pre-order it. If you're watching this later, hopefully you guys can still order it. But I am getting this one a little bit early so I can give you guys a look around the box. We'll take a look at the contents and then of course review the kit. So let's go ahead and get into it here for today's video. Right, so as for the box here, it's in the usual style of the Knights of the Round Table series. We've got our BE Beyond Exquisite logos and titling, along with this really cool artwork here on the front, featuring the Galahad here in space with the explosions and lighting effects there in the background, and of course that massive hammer. We're gonna have that same art here on the end of the box, and again, this is definitely the thickest box in this series thus far. If we go around here to the other side, we've got a photo of the finished kit right there with the decals on it and everything. You can see it's got this big shield, a big axe, and then the massive hammer there on the back side. On this side of the box, another action pose there with the completed kit, and on the other side here, we've got some line art there as well. On the back side, some more images of the built and painted kit, or it might just be built, panel lined, and decaled. I'm not exactly even entirely sure it's painted, because these kits do look really nice just straight out of the box like that. But there it is, front and back, and a couple of action poses over here, and there you can see what the inner frame is going to look like there as well. All right, let's check out everything inside here. Got a big stack of runners, which we'll take a look at in a moment. But we do also have some water slide decals in here as well, mostly just like these lining markings to go around on different parts of the armor there in white and in gray. And then our instruction manual here as well. Now on the back side, looks like we've got our parts list right there on the list of runners. And on the inside, our instructions are going to be here in black and white, but you can see they do have highlighted there in a kind of reddish pink color the connection points that you need to be careful of. And I think this is a new addition for this kit, where it's not only letting us know which runners are going to be used for this section of the build, but also tells you the part numbers. So that's runner A and all the parts from the A runner there. As you guys know, I love to see that in the manual, but this is of course just only to build the frame of the torso. So it looks like we're building the entirety of the frame first, and then we're going to go back and build the head, and then adding the armor onto the frame. So I'll probably build this up, not building the entirety of the frame first, just kind of building it all in one go. But then after we're through all that, then we're on into the backpack there, just a little bit of a backpack, nothing really too much for that. And then the weapons, of course, the weapons are going to be quite large. I'm anxious to see on the runners just the parts used for the hammers to get an idea of just how big that's going to be. We got the decal guide here at the very end, a couple of pages there in color. And then here at the very last page, basically the same stuff we saw on the outside of the box, but some more nice reference images there for you as well. All right, then as for the runners, no polycaps of course with this. We're going to get right into it with runner A, which is obviously going to be here in gray for a bunch of the inner frame parts. And it's going to be the same for the next couple of runners here, as well as runner B is more inner frame parts here. We've got two of those, and again, as usual, you can see just a lot of really nice detail on there. Followed by runner C, and then runner D, we're finally getting some hammer parts, and you can see for the main inside part of the hammer just how large that's going to be. We also have like the handle parts, which do look like, unfortunately, those are going to be two halves, so you'll have the seam line all the way down the handle. That's unfortunate, but we'll see just how that looks once we get into the built kit. Runner E is going to be here in a dark navy color, and then we've got this lighter kind of medium blue color here for runners F and G there. Runners H and I are going to be our white armor pieces here for the kit. Then runners J and K are going to be here in a light gray, obviously some more large parts there for the hammer. Runner L is going to be our signature gold plated runner here for the kit, as with the rest of the kits in this line. I think all of them have it, right? They'll have some really nice gold accents, so we're seeing that again here with this one. Lastly then, runner Z seems to be all of our hand parts for the kit, and I would think that this is, because it's alphabet jump to runner Z, that this is the same runner we've seen in previous kits, although these hands definitely look larger than any of the other SNAA kits that I've seen. That said, there are a couple that I haven't built, so if you guys know if this is the same runner that's used in a different kit, let me know in the comments. But that's everything that we got there. Let's go ahead and get it built up and check it out. Alright guys, then here it is all built up. It is quite the beefy kit for sure. If you missed the live stream, you can go back and check that out, watch the live build of this. But of course, most of the construction goes together very similarly to the rest of the kits in the line. If you've ever built any of the Beyond Exquisite line from SNAA, it goes together very similar. And it's definitely a little bit larger. I'll show you a size comparison here in just a few minutes. But first, we'll go ahead and take a look at the accessories. Anyway, this kit certainly does have a really awesome look to it. I love the horns on the helmet, and there's a really cool gimmick there with how that mask folds down over the face too and everything. So not only do you have this big, huge, bulky design, but some cool gimmicks built in. And then of course, we've got its massive hammer. So let's go ahead and get into the accessories and we'll take a look at that. First of all, for our hand options, they're kind of the standard set of hands for an SNAA kit like this. You've got a set of closed fists, two different types of open hands. You've got open outstretched hands like so, and then just kind of open resting hands here, all of which are really nicely detailed too, as you can see, and these are a little bit larger size than most of the other SNAA kits, at least in this line that I've built. And then we've got our set of weapon holding hands, which you can see are going to have a nice large grip on there for holding our very large weapons, as well as the shield here. So here's our very Triceratops looking shield. I don't know, do you guys think it looks more like a Triceratops or a rhino? I think with the 3 horns. Very Triceratops looking. The hand I've just got already attached on here, because the way that you have to attach the hand into this, you have to like kind of take off the thumb part and then put the hand on and put the thumb back on. It's a little bit kind of annoying. I don't necessarily really like designs like that where you have to take the hand apart in order to kind of get it into this small little space there. It can be hard if you've got big fingers like me, but that fits into the arm there and then pops onto the side. In order to put the shield here on the arm, you actually have to remove this gauntlet part. So you've got these just regular gauntlet pieces there on both sides. You remove that and then you can put the shield here on this side, or on either side really, I suppose. But one thing to note, while we've got all these horn pieces here, you'll see that all of the horn pieces basically are like a solid piece and then a filler piece. You can see the same thing here on these smaller horns there. We've got like the solid piece here on the outside, and then on the inside there's like a filler piece. And then for the large horn here, it's kind of like the most visible side is solid, and then you've got this inner piece there. So it's not bad. I think the only other option, if they couldn't make it one solid piece, would have been to be like 2 halves, and then you have a seam line. So I think this one probably proves to be more of a challenge to fill than just a standard seam line if you wanted to fill that in and make it solid. So I don't know necessarily which one would have been better. I think the way that these are molded looks the best just for if you're building it just straight out of the box and you're not planning to fill in those seam lines. But if you did want to fill in those seams, they are going to take a little bit of work there, unfortunately. All right, up next then we've got the axe here. Pretty large weapon in itself, as you can see here, just compared to the body, and it doesn't really have any gimmicks. The handle doesn't move or anything. You have it all just here in this gold and white. I do kind of wish there was a little bit more color separation with this, that I wish that it was not just all white. I don't think there's any particular reason, like canonically or related to the character, why the axe isn't all white. So I do wish that like at least some parts of this maybe would have been gray. But then of course we've got its massive hammer. So this one does have a gimmick of the handle being able to go in and out there, sliding in for storage. Also, this sort of like pike here at the top can also extend out a little bit there as well, just in case if you didn't want to, you know, smash someone with this massive hammer. You just want to poke them with that, you can do that there as well. But then you got some really nice details, and this thing is rather heavy, aside from just being ridiculously large. So just like compared with the kit itself, it's basically about the same height, just on its side like that. You do have this connection piece here, which will plug into the back for storage. Now the axe doesn't have anywhere to store on the kit when not in use, but the hammer you can store here on the back. It's not really like the strongest connection. I feel like that's probably gonna, fall off of there. But if you just have it, you know, standing or in an action pose or something, it's not gonna just like fall off. It's tight enough, and I think it's meant to be just kind of straight vertical like that, but connected onto the back. There you go. Now we do also have another couple of connection pieces here. We've got these stabilizing pieces, one for the left side, one for the right side, that will connect into the back of the arm. So if you look right around here on the back of the elbow, you've got that hard point there. This plugs into there, and then the handle of the axe will go through the hand and then through here, just to give you kind of a stabilized connection to the forearm. Now I do think that the main weight issue is not really going to be solved by this connection piece. This will help at the wrist, basically solidifying your wrist joint connection, but then the arm still has to be able to hold up the hammer, which I think is where this kit is probably going to struggle a little bit. But before we get into that, a couple other details that I want to point out to you guys. So for the eyes, in other kits there has been option parts for the eyes. In this one there's only the one gold piece for the eyes, which is honestly what I would prefer. I think that looks the best in terms of just being the most visible there, but if you did want to paint those, of course you can paint those. The gimmick of the helmet here, basically you can push that down, and the gold part and this blue part here on the top of the head all move in unison. Those are all joined together. So when the mask comes down, that whole part rotates forward there like that, and then obviously the horns there as well. So back and then forward again here, like that. So it's pretty cool gimmick, pretty cool design there, I have to say. In our large shoulder armor here, you've got this big thruster that can move a little bit once you kind of move the shoulder up and position that. Otherwise, most of the other articulation is going to be pretty standard here. You've got a pretty nice ab crunch there in the center. Basically all you've come to expect from these kits, essentially like master grade range of movement there, or real grade, with the elbow joint being able to give you a pretty full bend there. These parts here on like the side of the hips can be moved up out of the way for when you bring the leg up. You've got a double joint in the knee and separation of that knee armor there, again for a pretty full bend there at the knee. And then down here at the feet, this part here at the back will fold down for like additional stabilization. This part here at the front, and it's also kind of unique, that part can move up and down there, that kind of front ankle armor there as needed. Up underneath the feet, again some nice detail there also. And then one other kind of new gimmick that we have with this one that we haven't really seen in other kits in the line is the addition of like piston details there in the torso, which you can see like especially when you bend the torso side to side. You can see those piston details in there, which are just molded in white. They're unfortunately not in like a plated silver or something, which would have been cool, but those are a really cool detail as well. And then here on the backpack, it's just a very simple little backpack here. You've got your main hard point, which I showed you just a moment ago. You've also got these hard points sort of here on the side, which I'm not really sure what those are meant to be for, if anything necessarily, but this kit, just as it is, doesn't really utilize those. So I don't know, something that you can use your imagination with, because you also got a hard point here on the back side of the skirt armor as well, just to point that out, as well as up underneath the hip section too. So of course this kit does not come with its own action base, unfortunately, and I really think that it might have been nice if it did, but you can plug just any kind of Bandai or standard action base up into the waist section right there as normal. And then just for a size comparison here with the previously released Lamorak kit, you can see it's not a huge size difference. They're still going to be like pretty similar in terms of their size, but the Galahad here definitely is going to be a little bit larger, a little bit bulkier for sure there, especially with those big legs that he's got, and very wide spiky shoulders and everything. So it's definitely going to be the largest one of the bunch. And so yeah, as we'll take a look at the kit here in a few different poses to wrap up the review, you can see that it is definitely going to require a support stand. If you're planning on having the hammer up off the ground at all, you're just going to need that. And it is kind of unfortunate. It's not the end of the world, but I just don't normally like having to use additional stands for this. What's kind of the more unfortunate thing is that there's nothing included with the kit. I mean, it's not a big deal to just have to buy an extra display base, a Bandai action base or something like that. But we have seen SNAA include stands before, like with the kind of quote-unquote deluxe version of the Percival. So I think it would have been nice to include some kind of just simple support base for the hammer to be included with this kit. It really would have been nice. Other than that, I mean, there's still plenty of great poses that you can do with this, whether you want to have the hammer elevated or not. Of course, you've also got the axe weapon and that really cool shield as well. So you definitely got some cool stuff to work with this kit, and it still is just a really, really awesome design. So a great kit, as we've come to expect from SNAA at this point, and a great addition to this series, with it filling that role of being this like massive bulking design there with a huge weapon. So it's really, really cool. Check it out, guys. Again, this is my early sample, but the kit at the moment of recording this is still available for pre-order, and as I think I mentioned earlier, it should be coming in pretty soon, so definitely pre-order it. If you guys haven't yet, you can do so at the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store, as always. Otherwise, if you're watching this later on, hopefully it's there in stock for you guys, but plenty of cool stuff there on the website, so check that out. And as always, thank you guys so much for checking out the video here today as well. Leaving a like while you're here, making sure you're subscribed. I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much. Until next time, hope y'all are doing well. I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.